everyone. It's me, Uncle John. Today I'm going to read Esther 22:28. This house is attacking me by Jocelyn Harewood. Chapter 1 Moving. Joe sat in the middle of his bed. He folded his arms. I'm not moving from this house, he said. Joe liked his house. He liked his bedroom. If his mom really had to have a new baby, he could make room for it under his shelf. He didn't need to move house. The movers sighed. You're not moving? They asked. No, said Joe. The movers carried the bed with Joe on it. You better hang on, dear, his mom called. Joe rode on his bed through the house, and across the front garden. I'm not going in the car, and you can't make me, he said, so the movers put him in the cabin of the truck with them. He pulled up at the new house. All that Joe could see was the roof. It was the worst roof he'd ever seen. His mom and dad arrived. He followed them through the front gate and looked up at the house. Oh no, he complained. This house is old and yellow. You know, I hate yellow. And that's when the trouble started. Chapter 2 The Attack House. Beside the path was a big rose bush. As Joe walked by, thorns hooked into his shirt. Ow! It's stabbing me! Joe pulled the branch away and went to the steps. Joe put his hand on the porch railing. Ow! Now the nasty house is biting me. He looked at the huge splinter in his hand. He glared at the house. The red glass panels in the door glared back. Joe pointed at the door. Look, the house is making faces at me. That's your own reflection, his mom said. No, it's not, said Joe. The house hates me. Why don't you have the front room, Joe? Joe's dad tried to steer him inside. Joe looked in through the window. It was the worst room he had ever seen. It's too small, he said. How could he fit his things in that horrible little room? He would go inside, but just to measure it. Joe walked across his room, counting each step. 1, 2, 3. He tripped over the house, floorboard, and fell. He should never have gone inside the house. Joe ran out the back door. Chapter 3 The Neighbors. Hey, do you live here now? Joe looked up in surprise. The boy and girl were looking at Joe over the wire fence. Yes, said Joe, but I won't live in that house. That horrible house has it in for me. I've been stabbed, beaten, and tripped, and I think the front door is making faces at me. I'm Ben, the boy said. I'm Emily, the girl said. Hey, come over to our place, said Ben. They held the fence with bags, for Joe wriggled through. The wire sprang back, and grabbed Joe's pants. Oh, see that? It attacked me. It'll be great having you next door, said Emily. Don't worry about the house. We can fix that. Problem is that this house hates me, said Joe. You'll see. Emily put on a tool belt and stuffed it with glue, clippers, and sandpaper. They wriggled through the fence to get back into Joe's yard. Oh, the fence grabbed Joe again. Joe and his new friends marched into the house. Hello, said Joe's mom and dad. What's going on? Joe had some problems with the house, said Emily. We are here to help. Great, said Joe's dad, but be careful. Joe glued the loose floorboard. Emily rubbed the railing with sandpaper. Ben clipped the rose bush. How's that? Ben asked. They looked up at the house. Chapter 4 The Friendly House. The red glass panels in the door stared back. It's not very friendly, Joe said. I think it still hates me. Emily took two smiley stickers out of a tool belt and stuck them on the red glass panel. Panel smiled at them. That's better, said Joe, and he smiled too. Can you fix my room now? I think it's too small for all my things. The kids went to the front room to check. It measured 5.5 of Joe's steps. It's wider than my older room, Joe said. Joe and his friends sat on the floor and Joe described his old room. He told them where all his things used to be. We need someone to help us build the shelf, said Emily. Then I can put my things on the shelf. It'll be just like my old room, said Joe. We'll ask your mom and dad to help us, said Emily. Everyone was happy with the house until they went into the backyard again. Ben looked at Joe's torn plants. We'll have to fix the fence. I wish we had a gate, Joe said. My mom thinks there's a gate along here somewhere, said Ben. Look, here it is, Joe called. They rushed to pull the vine away. Hiding in the middle was an old gate. Wow, Emily said we can fix that and visit other whenever we want. I've never had friends next door, Joe said. This is gonna be great. The end.